all of this, and we're going to be introducing Rori, who is a managing director, strategy and innovations head at Accenture Interactive. She has been doing this for over 20 years. She's worked at Ogilvy. She speaks at many different conferences and is a contributing writer for Adweek and many other places. And I'd like to introduce Rori.
Thanks for having me here today. My name is Rori DuBoff. I'm a managing director at Accenture Interactive, and I head our immersive experience practice. I hope everybody's doing okay during these crazy times. I'm here today at my parents' house, their lovely backdrop. And I'm really excited, though, to talk to you about some new research that we have launched just this past month, actually. So it's very recent. And the research is focused on what is the role and impact of 3D immersive experiences throughout the entire customer experience, pre, during, and post-transaction. So we basically reached out to 3,000 consumers around the world in the North America, in APAC and Europe, around 13 countries, and sort of probed around how immersive was considered in terms of driving engagement with products, purchasing products, and the post-product purchase. We looked at 14 different product categories, which I'm going to talk about, and some really interesting and great insights. The reason for doing this research, this was before COVID and everything, was having worked in this space now for, I guess, the last 5 years and gone through so many iterations of digital, from web to social to mobile. You realize how important data is in terms of making people and brands and clients feel confident in investing in this sort of new media. And I was looking for more substantial data to prove to clients that there is indeed value and that consumers are looking for these type of experiences. So we'll go through the slides and I'll share with you some of the findings, which I think are great and help support that cause. The questions that the survey sought to answer is, how can immersive technologies boost consumer confidence and trust pre, during, and post-purchase? Confidence being a really big deal now, and today especially, when you think of the uncertainty we all face. In what ways can brands use immersive tech to make buying a more rewarding experience throughout the journey? Do immersive experiences offer better returns for brands compared to traditional, physical or online? And what product categories have the highest potential consumer demand and value? So, I mentioned that there's 14 different categories we looked at. So we'll talk about which categories popped. In fact, most of them all, if you look at products as a category in general, that's probably the highest demand around immersive 3D experiences when it comes to impact ROI. So you'll see that most of the categories were pretty high. And last, I think, with all of any sort of research is always addressing the issue of data and privacy. And the more immersive and more personalized these types of experiences get, the more data and the more engagement a consumer provides. And always thinking about how to do that in a way that is transparent and sort of respects that relationship is really important. So in terms of the questionnaire that we sent out, and once again, this was fielded the end of March, so not long ago. So the data is rather recent and it's kind of like on the fringe of when people started really responding to this new environment. And I think some of the data is impacted by that, but you can say there's been a continuous impact from our situation. But we asked about immersive, and we defined that as the tools companies use to demonstrate the features and capabilities of their products and services digitally. And it can include virtual reality, augmented reality, 360 video, 3D content, and mixed reality experiences. And so I've been trying for a while now, to move away from asking people about, like, what did you think of that AR experience or VR experience? Frankly, beyond the industry, most consumers have no idea what we're talking about. Even immersive, I think they kind of get it. But what I'm trying to figure out and what we're hoping to figure out is a vocabulary that people understand, that our clients understand, that says, you know what, it's not screen-based media, but it doesn't always have to be jumping into a VR headset. It's somewhere that can just be this new rich interaction that's different from what we're used to. And it incorporates new sorts of technologies that we should start exploring. So the learnings from the survey. To begin with, we said, what are your motivations? Like, why would you consider using any of these immersive technologies, whether it be, a 3D model that you interact with, a 360 video, AR, VR? And 52%, and this is out of a base of 3,087 consumers worldwide, said being able to view the product without visiting a store. And obviously, you've got to think with the times that are now, but that's pretty substantial. 42% ability to assess features or capabilities better, 42% also to experience the product before purchasing. You see increased confidence at 39% as a motivation, and then being able to change and customize or personalize the product. And so the two key takeaways I get from that are, accessibility in today's environment where more and more we're relying on digital for sales and retail. The ability to shop from home is so important. But what immersive provides is this tangibility. It's not just I want to shop from home. I want to shop from home, but I also want to be able to try on the product. I want to be able to place the product in my house or my space before I buy it. So it's this balance of accessibility and tangibility and pre-visualization before you purchase, which is really unique to this media. I mentioned consumer confidence as well. So we asked consumers about how they feel in terms of when they order something online and whether they believe it's going to meet their expectations when they receive it. And without the use of immersive technologies, we got a certain response. But when we asked, how would you feel, the differential in terms of being able to use a configurator or be able to use augmented reality to see something on how it looks on your body, on your face, there was a 9% increase in North America, which is pretty substantial. So, making consumers feel confident that they're making the right choice. And you'll see later on in the data, this is so important for higher priced items. We also see that there's a premium value associated with immersive experiences. That 47% of consumers would pay extra for a product that they could change, customize, or personalize using immersive technology. And I think if you look at the digital landscape overall, digital media has in some ways suffered from commoditization, like a surplus of digital banner ads or search terms, and getting back that level of premium quality to media and advertising is really important. And so, and this number goes up to 55% when we look at APAC only. So this idea that if your brand is creating an experience, investing in an experience that enables people to use these technologies, consumers are recognizing that and associating a premium quality with that. So this is kind of the big long list slide. So I'll spend a few minutes here. We asked consumers across all these different categories, what have you most used? What are you interested in using? And like, what categories do you think it will be most important going forward for brands to invest? Like, where is the most value going to be had by being able to have immersive experiences? And we see at the top here, electronics and accessories, this is over 60%, travel and tourism, automotive, hospitality. You basically see at the higher end of this, the higher price items, you see beauty products lower and fashion and luxury. And I was surprised at that number. We went back and looked at that, and basically I realized I think beauty products is the only one that's a little bit more oriented towards one gender. And so we looked at that question again, just the female audience. And we see that if you just look at the female audience, it peaks higher at 50% or 50, mid 50s. It's still not as high as some of the other categories. But any of these categories, basically you're seeing consumers are saying, this is important. I want these type of experiences. as we move forward in the next few years, I'd like to be able to use this technology to purchase any of these things, medical devices, real estate. The ones that peaked now in terms of consumers that have a bit more familiarity were more like consumer products, fashion and luxury beauty products. So we see there's a big difference in terms of what people have seen in the market versus what they expect and what they want. So, this recurrent theme you're seeing overall is that there is a correlation between consumers, when you ask them the role of this new technology, these new type of experiences that they understand are slightly different than the basic digital experience, that is going to be important. And about 2/3 of consumers believe that it will be important for merchandising and selling products over the next 5 years. That's based on the categories we looked at. 3 out of 5 consumers think that they'll buy more from brands that make use of immersive tech, which is pretty important. Basically, those brands consumers will purchase more when they're looking to evaluate products and services. And more than 50% of consumers think that they will better recall those brands that engage them through immersive technologies. And that, you could say that maybe that's the novelty of a new emerging technology experience. But I think it's something more than that, because we know when we look at mediums that are immersive, VR, AR, what they do so well is create that experience, that memorable experience that you feel that you've actually experienced it yourself. And people remember from experiencing, much more than from viewing or hearing or seeing. So that memory recall, the brand recall, is very important. This slide basically shows when we looked to ask consumers, okay, there's all these different channels. You've got the online store visit on one end, 5 being the highest level of influence. And then at the other end, you've got influencer blogs. We asked them a range of media and what is the most influential now and in the future. And pretty much everyone said the exact same thing now and in the future. Influencer blogs, unfortunately, least level of influence. Online store visits for a while, and hopefully again, most important, customer reviews, online search. The only touch point that switched in terms of people say, what, I think that's going to be important in the future, is immersive and virtual. So, right now, maybe your brand website, videos, those are more influential in terms of driving how people make purchase decisions. But we see in the future, the expectation is the role of immersive and virtual will actually leapfrog over that and become even more important. As I mentioned, any research would not be comprehensive if we didn't look at data and privacy issues. And this is really important because, we see that we asked, what are your thoughts about buying products and exchanging your personal data? Would you be willing to do that, such as biometrics or eye scans? And 3 in 5 consumers say they are concerned about this use, even if it's going to provide personalized recommendations. And 38% of consumers are willing to share, which means a large portion are not necessarily willing to share. So that is a challenge and something that we as an industry will have to think through in terms of making these experiences rewarding and valuable enough that people want to share their data, but also ensuring they understand that we're not going to abuse that data and setting a level of trust in how that data is captured and referenced is going to be really important as this industry matures. So the overall takeaway, I think that, beyond this research, we've been seeing a lot of companies, that have been investing in this space. This isn't new. Everyone from Nike to Mac to IKEA that, just bought the Geomagical Labs for AI imaging, Audi, Lego. There's L'Oreal with ModiFace. There's an endless number of companies that are investing in product visualization and immersive experiences to drive sales and engagement. But I think we have to, outside of sort of our industry and the people who are following it and understand, educate and make people understand the power of this medium beyond that. And so hopefully some of these data points will be good for you and your clients to use. We're going to be releasing the entire survey, which has a lot more information, next month. So the whole report will be out for everyone to see, which I hopefully you'll have a chance to take a look at. But when I try to think of the main theme that I took from all this data is that we've basically got this world where you have physical stores and you have online. Now, granted, physical stores have kind of been becoming less impactful because we can't go to those stores. But there's something so important and valuable and tangible about a physical store, being able to smell and touch, that people will always appreciate and will continue to appreciate. And then you have online, which is also great in terms of being able to search in an endless amounts of information and product, but it doesn't always have that ability to convey this sort of sensory and spatial feeling that your brain takes in. And so what immersive is able to do is sort of capture that S factor. And I think we need to start conveying that as an industry, that richness that we're able to bring through this type of media that is a little different than digital, that is not physical, but bridges the gap in between. So that's it for today. Hopefully some of this research you found helpful. You can always find me on Twitter at Rori DuBoff, and I am happy to take any questions if you have any. Thank you.
Hi, Rory. Wow, that was a lot of great information. Thank you for that. That was unbelievable. I love the S factor. It's a great way to close. We had a lot of questions about when the slides would be available. And I know you said it's going to be available in the next month. Where can we direct people to go check it out? Your Twitter handle?
So, yeah, definitely Twitter. This was kind of the first time we're sharing this research as a sneak preview, as you would say. But we'll be putting out a extensive point of view. Accenture will be Accenture Interactive, so you can expect that. In June. So I'll post it, but Accenture will be posting it. It'll be a bit more in depth and more information. And then, anybody who has specific questions about industries, there's deep dives on each of the industries that were the 14 categories mentioned.
Great. So we do have one question from Anish Korapati. You mentioned travel and tourism. Which brands are doing well with using immersive tech, and what are some examples?
Well, let's see. I mean, Marriott has been one of the leaders in terms of using immersive media. I think you're going to see more and more like Matterport, more just general hotels and chains, and Emirates, if I'm pronouncing that right, they did a great job in terms of their website, letting people see the seats in 3D. So, I mean, travel and leisure is one of those challenging categories because we're like, when are we going to travel again? But I think being able to, hopefully soon, being able to see, where you're sitting, make sure that, there's a lot of space around you, I guess. So there's quite a few interesting areas in that category. And obviously it's something that consumers really want to see more of.
Absolutely. You were talking about with your report, well, how did you choose all of the things that you were focusing on? Was it by category, or how did
I think
on all the analytics?
Right. So I wanted to focus on products. I wanted to focus on something that proved an ROI. I think we really need data points, and we do have some great case examples of current data points, but I also wanted to sort of reference the importance of brands investing in the space in the future. So we look through all the different industries that Accenture's involved with, which is pretty much every industry, and identify the top 14 different categories where this would be appropriate. Everything from entertainment and media, which is not always a product, to medical devices. Because I think there are lots of categories. I think there are industries like the healthcare industry that you wouldn't naturally think would say, maybe my hearing aids, or maybe my cane or whatever, wheelchair, maybe I'd like to be able to see that in 3D, and those are high priced items, so why not? So the data proves it out.
Absolutely.
that
Yeah.
idea.
Was there anything that surprised you? I know you talked a little bit about luxury, but was
Yeah.
there something that really surprised you?
We're doing a research overlay on this data right now because we wanted to say, like, okay, where are brands today in the space? And I thought there'd be fewer brands that have immersive experiences like in market. And if you look at all the leaders across their categories, it's actually much further along than I realized. I think that so there are like leaders. You're seeing. I guess I'm surprised at the leaders versus the laggards. There's that really big gap in terms of movement ahead and movement behind. I was also surprised to see what consumers are using today versus what they expect to use in the future. It's different. What they or where they value. It's a little bit different. More commodity-based items today, and premium value in the future. And obviously APAC scored very high. So.
Oh, okay. Well, this was premium value, what you brought. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Sure.
And yeah, can't wait to see the whole report. So we'll send everybody to
Sure. Yeah.
Rori DuBoff, and I'll
Yes.
put your Twitter handle in the message.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you so much.